Hello everyone. Thank you for giving us time to present our research and findings for MGA password policy. This presentation is prepared by Nazneen, Fanmilayo, Punj and me, Vaibhav. Agenda of this presentation is going to include introduction, current policy overview, objective, research and study, result and discussion, and finally recommendations. Introduction. For the safety of an organization's computing resources, only authorized users should be granted access to the system. And secure system should keep unauthorized users from gaining the access. Role of password policies. Password policies are very critical due to the importance of the password. Organizations have policies for general use of computing resources. Password policies enforce creating more effective passwords and make organizations more secure. Strong passwords. Strong passwords are hard to guess and unique to each account. If password policies are well designed, it helps user to create and maintain passwords more effectively. Weak passwords. Users are inclined to choose passwords that are easy to guess. Hence, quick to guess or easy to guess passwords become vulnerable to attackers. So why password authentication is widely used? Because of its simplicity. For system designers to design secure system, for its simplicity for end users to use, and it also provides cost-effective protection. Objective. Our study is aimed at providing solutions to avoid cybersecurity breach in MGA by examining current password policy, analyze it with common requirements governing organizations' password usage, and proffering solutions to loopholes by providing a revised recommended policy for the institution. Um, Current policy overview. The scope of the current policy includes computers and network system operated and owned and maintained by MGA. Here are following password policy overview, current password policy overview that we have in place. Research and study. The research and study performed in the last few weeks targeted two aspects: security and usability. Every organization have their best practices of password usage, which guides and enforces these practices with the help of security and password policy. Policies are important to the successful operation of technology, both in academic institutions and corporations. We reviewed many papers and research studies performed in such academic institutions and corporations. So, who's the weakest link in cybersecurity breaches? In a survey of 836 employees, found that only 6% of the employees were following best practice guidelines if guidelines were not imposed on them. The research describes that for any company, cyber threats is one of the main challenges, and employees are the weakest link of the cybersecurity breaches. What's the damage cost? In the same study, we found that average damage done by the negligence of insider cost companies millions of dollars in the form of fraud, theft of trade secrets, or intellectual property. Average revenue lost through cybersecurity breaches caused by insider is much higher than the outside attackers. But not all organizations are negligent when it comes to the cybersecurity. There are many organizations that proactively perform different operations to understand its employees' behavior in terms of password usage and managing it so that proper policies can be put in place. We also studied best practices, rules in different organizations, institutions, and government regulations. So, what are different issues that we see? Research and study performed in last few weeks, as we said, targeted security and usability. And yes, there are issues in both. Issues are present on password selection, like choosing strong and complex password and remembering them. We also discussed in different cost, which can adversely affect institutes as a result of improper policies, thereby increasing IT cost as well. What are different solutions then? We did evaluate different options, and we will discuss a few. One of the option was password manager. Password managers such as LastPass are used in order to store different passwords created by users on different accounts in one central location. This will ensure users do not have to remember passwords by themselves as the password manager applications takes on that role. This, however, is not recommended because unpaid version of such managers are restricted to usage on one device, which is not safe procedure, as a system is capable of either crashing or being stolen if it is a mobile one especially. Another solution was is MFA. MFA stands for multi-factor authentication, in which in order to get into authorized network, user needs to provide his or her identity in the form of something that user knows, like something like user's previous address or something like user has, like his house or car loan, etc. All of these issues that we discussed can be addressed by MFA with the combination of password and a token generated by the system. Along with that, more authentication technologies can also be used, like one-time password, smart cards, or biometrics. This is the good solution so far. We do have more details about MFA in our paper. Another solution reviewed was SSO, single sign-on, which means user needs to enter his or her credentials for authorization and authentication, and thereafter he or she will be able to access multiple applications in the organization's network securely and seamlessly. Many organizations across all domains are aligning their IT systems to use SSO, identity and access management suites. This helps and allows these organizations to comply with mandated compliance from many regulations like Sarbanes-Oxley (SOX) and Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act (HIPAA) in the United States. We do also have more details about SSO in our paper. Study on usability shows that users do not like to change password every 90 days or so, depending on existing policies, if any, which might result easy to crack passwords. Hence, revive, hence reviewed another solution. One of the tools like use of the tools like Azure Active Directory password protection helps in two parts. One, users generally would not select easy to break password because the tool disallows a large range of easy to guess passwords from being used in the first place. And secondly, it makes easy for users to manage their passwords and making them less vulnerable to cyber threats. And then we also believe that having great policy is important. Along with that, informing and educating about it is also equally important. So what's next? Challenges? Yes, while these benefits are great, there are challenges associated with them as well. One of the challenge is addressing new methods of attack which is not addressed by MFA. Hence, continuous updates in the policies are also important. Here is our conclusion with the recommended password policy updates based on our research and study. First, it's single sign-on. Every user in university's network would use SSO to access different applications. It is easier for user to keep one strong password and use it to access applications via SSO. Second, multi-factor authentication. When user is not in university's network, then he or she can connect to the network via VPN. But he or she would need to give single sign-on password and also a token generated by MFA apps like Duo. It will increase security when user is not in the university's network. Users should follow guidelines given in the password policy for creating passwords. We do have added three more guidelines along with the existing ones. Password must be changed every 90 days, and users should get an email notification when it's time to change. Password must not be your first, last, or your username. Password should not be chosen from 5 previously used passwords. It's also important for the university to provide training on cybersecurity to all users to make them understand value of cybersecurity and strong passwords. We also recommend to introduce and enforce restricting banned passwords using tools like Azure Active Directory password protection, as we discussed previously. We also have added few more sections in our password policy recommendations. When user is not authorized to use account should be deleted or disabled. It can be done in two steps. User or contactor or his or her superior can contact university system admin, and system admin will then university system admin will then take necessary action to delete or suspend user's account. We do also have password protection standards in which user should not utilize his or her individual data in password, and user should not encode password via telephone, email, or in any form to anyone, including his or her superiors. We also have password standards for application development, in which all passwords in text file should be in encrypted form. All applications should support authorization levels like admin, manager, developer, and user, and there should be a two-step authentication for high sensitivity application. We are also recommending remote access user policy, in which if user wants to log into the application remotely, then he or she needs to connect to VPN and use SSO token to get access. Penalties: if anyone violates rules governed in policy or trying to get unauthorized access, then disciplinary action would be taken by the university. And enforcement: unit heads will ensure that all students, staff, faculty are aware of the importance of these policies using the trainings. CIO must approve any waiver of these requirements if needed. That's all from us. Thank you for your valuable time, and here are our contacts for any further communication. Thank you.